The Bible uses the word mystery in amazing ways. And here to talk about many of those ways is author and speaker Jonathan Cahn. Jonathan, I can't tell you how pleased I am to have you here at Prophecy Watch.
Always a blessing to be with you.
The thing about you is that you travel, you speak, and it's always about something exciting and new. Things are unfolding at a very rapid rate right now, aren't they?
Yeah. Things have been accelerating not only in America, what's happening in the world, and Israel, Middle East, so much so that we were just talking before and saying it's so much is happening that even in a few months we can't even plan out what we're going to speak about because so much is happening prophetically.
Today is to talk about Jonathan's book. It's called The Book of Mysteries, and you'll find out all about it before we're through, but let's talk about mysteries, because the mysteries are happening everywhere right now. One recently happened in New York City.
That's right.
You and I talked about it before we went on.
Yeah, this is, the harbingers have not stopped just because, America has not stopped in its descending from God. And so that's, for those who don't know the harbinger, it's the warning signs, the prophetic signs. Well, when you look at the template of the harbinger, the book that I wrote, of the last days of Israel, they were worshiping a god. The god was Baal or Baal. So Baal was the god that they turned to when they turned away from God. He's the god of sexual immorality. He's the god that they offered their children to. He's the god that they persecuted the prophets to. He's the god of really just when a nation has known God, rejects God, this is in one form or another, it's Baal. So now we're watching America, a nation founded by God, and before founded for the glory of God, founded after the pattern of Israel, and now we're watching America turn away, the same pattern of Israel, and we're watching America endorse sexual immorality, killing millions of its unborn children, beginning to persecute believers, and the same thing. Could the sign of Baal actually appear in America? And the answer is amazingly so. I mean, you think like, well, why would anybody have anything to do with anything with Baal? Most people don't even know about Baal except believers, But it happened. It happened very recently in New York City. I went down there to witness when they unveiled it. In New York City, they constructed a replica of the arch to Baal, the arch from Syria, Palmyra, Syria, where the major center of Baal worship. The people would go through the arch to worship the god Baal. They reconstructed this arch in New York City, right in City Hall Park, within sight of Ground Zero and all. And they had this big ceremony. They had it covered with a sheet. They unveiled it. They had music, Middle Eastern music playing that you could imagine played during the worship of Baal. They had leaders. They had the deputy mayor of New York there to celebrate, and when you read the Harbinger, it said that when they erected these harbingers, they almost always use one word, and that word is defiance. They use the word defiance over and over again, because in ancient Israel, before they were destroyed, they kept doing these things in the spirit of defiance. Well, the woman says, we are doing this as an act of defiance. So here, the sign of Baal, they even had, by the way, they even had a plaque on the floor that said Temple of Baal. And so here, the sign of Baal, sign of a nation that once knew God, that is turned away, that is called evil good and good evil, in America, in New York, the place of the harbingers. And interesting, because they were actually rebuilding, the Temple of Baal was destroyed recently in Syria, ancient temple, by ISIS.
Yes.
Now in the harbinger, one of the first harbingers is the sign of the terrorist, and the Assyrians, they attack Israel. It was a sign of judgment. Well, the Assyrians are the inventors of terrorism. I mean, they're the fathers of all terrorism. ISIS is literally descended from the Assyrians. It's literally the Assyrian Empire. They literally have many of them have the blood of the Assyrians. They're from Iraq and Syria. And the ancient Assyrians would practice decapitation, and then they would display it, exactly what ISIS does. And so here in the Harbinger, ancient Israel, before it was destroyed, they're rebuilding what the Assyrians destroyed. Well, now, literally, in New York City, America was rebuilding what the Assyrians destroyed. I mean, literally. I mean, exact. So very, very ominous thing.
And it's a mystery that's not a mystery. That is to say, it's been unveiled in our day. Anyone with eyes to see and ears to hear can see what's happening.
Yes, with eyes to see. Most do not. You know, crazy. If they knew what they were doing, they never do it. But there were believers there witnessing this too.
Wow.
Yeah.
Your book, by the way, and I wanted to just open this up to the table of contents, and it has a list of mysteries with page numbers.
Yes.
And I believe it's one per page.
Yes.
And
Yes.
guess what? There are 365 of them.
That is right.
And as I read this, and I've read almost all of this book, I must say,
Wow.
because it pulls you along. And it really has 365 mysteries in it.
Yes.
You say, what in the world could he be talking about? How can you get 365 mysteries?
Well, if the Harbinger is the revealing of a mystery, or the Shemitah, this is literally hundreds of mysteries, which I believe are, God is, there's no end to God. There's no end to his works. And so I believe some of the greatest mysteries, it has mysteries of the age, or hidden mysteries from the writings of the rabbis, mysteries of the end times, mysteries that you'll never see in English in the Bible, but it's there, incredible things in the Bible, mysteries of heaven, also mysteries of your life, because that's part of the mystery. We come to the Lord, it's a mystery. Why are we here? So all those things. And the other thing is that I feel that we are going through some very dramatic times ahead. And so that God's people have to be strong. It's not just to know, okay, I have my prophecy chart right, but you need to be strong. So it's not only to be hopefully not only just to be blown away by the Lord, which is awesome always, but also at the end of each mystery, there's a way to apply the mystery to your life to change your life. It's about getting strong. It's about changing your life for victory.
Well, once a mystery has been revealed to you, it becomes a challenge. And as we discussed earlier, before we came on today, it occurred to me while reading your book that a mystery is a marvelous teaching tool. Because if you say the word mystery, people say, what is it? I want to know about the mystery.
And
right?
God is the God, and God is the God of revelation, reveal. That means take away the veil. So exactly. And so these are things that many of them have come to me over the years of teaching. Others came as I'm writing it. I had it writing this. And I really the biggest challenge was how to concentrate, because there's so much in the mystery, how to put it on one page. That was the biggest challenge I had. And so every day I said, Lord, just give it. And I had to do 4 a day to get this thing, because it's about twice as much as is in the Harbinger of anything. So they have that. And the other thing is I felt like with the Harbinger, I built a story around it. So in a sense, so that there's a man who goes into the desert and he meets a man called a teacher. And the teacher takes him on a 1-year odyssey or 1-year journey on mountaintops, caverns, secret chambers of vessels. And every day he opens up a mystery of God. So it has the story, and it's the teacher giving that. But so therefore, as you're doing it, you're really taken along the journey, and it's really to you, And so therefore, because it's a year in the desert or 365, you can read it as a devotional, except different from a devotional. You're getting a mystery every day. It's not like a nice insight, but it's that. But you can read it right through. People are reading right through. It's concentrated, but read it right through. And then there are others who will do what you just look at the table of contents. I'll read it anywhere. I like this mystery. So you can read it forwards, backwards, sideways. But the idea is there's no end to the awesome, amazing mysteries of God.
What is a devotional after all? A devotional is being surprised by a revelation from God, and that's a mystery. And it's a good thing to be surprised.
Yes.
We talked a minute ago about this incredible thing that happened in New York City, the Gate of Baal.
Yes.
From Palmyra and this ceremony and so forth.
Yes.
We're living in the age of apostasy, I think. And you have a mystery of the apostasy.
Yes. Now, this is an example of the Bible is so amazing. I mean, one word has so much, and people miss the word. We know that in the end times it says there'll be a great falling away. We know that, and we can see that. And that the word in the Bible is apostasia, and so we get apostasy. Now we hear, what's apostasy? Well, it's the falling away from faith. So we witness that, we see that. But there's more to the word. There's a hidden thing in that word that explains exactly what's happening. Apostasia, come in Greek, it literally means to depart from the state of being. That's what it means. So here, what does it mean? In the end times, when you see a departure, the rejection of faith, you will also see a departure from the state of being. What does that mean? Men, you will see men departing from the state of manhood, women from the state of womanhood, marriage from the state of marriage, family from the state of family, children from the state of children, humanity from humanity.
So the word destabilization comes to mind.
That goes with it. It all goes with it. See, if creation came from the Word,
Yeah.
if you go away from the Word, you're going to depart from creation.
Okay.
So this is
I see what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And so apostasy means to move away from
the state of
or a firmly established location, departing.
a location, or a state of being, or a state of being. The departure from these things. Yeah.
And yet, what do you read today, or what do you see on the web? You see things like gender reassignment,
All over.
and
All over.
and the clear-cut distinction between man and woman is being blurred now.
Wiped out.
There's every gradation
Yes.
you can think of,
Yes.
and that's what you're talking about.
Exactly, and it's all there in that ancient word. So it's not an accident that in the same day you're seeing people go against the word of God, they're going against the order of creation itself. Yeah, that's one. That's just now. There's something called of course you know the mystery of the Shemitah. Well, there's something in the Book of Mysteries called the mystery of the Smicha. Now you don't have to get you don't have to get the thing, but here's the thing, and that is this: that before a sacrifice could be offered up, the priest had to perform something called the Shmicha, and that was if it was a sin offering, had to take the sacrifice that was brought to the priest, had to put his palms on its head, press it on its head, or touch the sacrifice of the head, and he was identifying with the sacrifice and putting his sins on it, or the sins of the offering, and he would say that he would confess the sins onto that. Now it happened on Yom Kippur, but it happened other times. So here's the smicha. Now here's the question: if Messiah is our sin offering, which he is, could the smicha have been performed? And here's the mystery: why was Messiah betrayed to the Sanhedrin? Because in that was the priests of Israel. The priests of Israel are the ones who must deliver up the sacrifice. Even though they don't know what they're doing it in sin, God is perfect. So here, and what did they do? It says when they pronounced that on him, they pronounced him guilty, they all started buffeting him. In the Greek, it says buffeting him. According to the Smicha, the hands of the priest must touch the head of the sacrifice. And it actually in the Greek says, it says literally the palms, because it's buffeting. Palms, which is exactly what has to happen for the Smicha. It has to make contact. Then they have to confess the sin onto the sacrifice. Well, was that happening then? What happened? Caiaphas said he is guilty of what? Blasphemy. That wasn't, according to the mystery, that wasn't Messiah's sin. That was Caiaphas' sin. That was the high priest's sin. Wow. And the priests represent Israel. Israel represents the world. That's the sin of man. Man as God, blasphemy. So they were performing without the smicha of God, and only then could he be offered up. And then what did they do? Like on Yom Kippur, the high priest stood in front of the multitude with two goats, one goat on his right, one goat on his left. And they would have to decide in front of a multitude, decide which one is going to escape and which one is going to die for sin. What happened when Messiah, before he died? Two men, not two goats, two men, Messiah, Barabbas, standing in front of the multitude. One is to escape, one is to be chosen to die. That is exactly what's performed on Yom Kippur. And so they do that, and so Messiah is the one who will die. But even more, there's an ancient writing in the rabbis which describe how they did this, and they said that the two goats had to look exactly alike, so you couldn't tell them you couldn't tell them apart. So could it be that Messiah and Barabbas looked alike? Maybe, but here's the thing. Messiah is you would think, how could you have two so different things? Messiah is the son of the Father. Barabbas is a criminal, a murderer.
Yeah.
But Barabbas, there's another mystery here. We all hear about Barabbas. Barabbas is just Greek for a Hebrew name, Bar Abba, which means the son of the Father. So here you have the son of the Father, and you have the son of the Father.
Oh, two alternatives of the same,
yes.
two pictures of the same thing.
Yes, and that's what, when a sacrifice died, it was like they become one. The one who dies is, who dies for me, he becomes one with me. Messiah becomes one with me to die for me, that I might become one with him. So here you have Messiah dying the death of Barabbas, that we might become, we're Barabbas, that we might become Barabbas, the son of the Father.
Wow, if you find this interesting, we're talking to Jonathan Cahn today, and his book of mysteries is basically 365 of the things you
Yes.
just heard him talking about. If you can imagine multiplying by 365, that'll give you some idea of this
Yeah.
book.
Oh, yeah, yeah. There's no end, Gary. I mean, and God is awesome. There's something called, there's some things that have to do with mysteries about prophecy and history.
Yeah.
There's something called the haftorah mystery. Now, let me tell you what that is. And a lot of people have never heard that. But a haftorah is every week, every Sabbath, in the synagogue, there is a chosen, appointed scripture read for that week. The haftorah is the prophets portion. So this is from ancient times. I mean, ancient times they were doing this. So from ancient times, there's a scripture appointed for every Sabbath. Now, 1948, God fulfills prophecy. God brings back Israel. When did it happen? May 14th, it was announced. May 15th, it went into effect. May 14th, David Ben-Gurion makes that announcement to the world. What day was it? It was Friday. He announced it just before the Sabbath came because the Sabbath was coming. So he announces it, and then it comes, Israel is born. Okay, May 15th. It was a Sabbath. So could it be, I wondered, could it be that God had an appointed scripture for 2,000 years to be on that day for that? Could it be? Well, here's the answer, Gary. This is the amazing thing is, yes. You know what the scripture was? On the birth of Israel, all around the world, all around every synagogue, being read, appointed, was Amos 9, and that day I will restore the fallen tabernacle of David. I will restore their captivity. They will come back to the land. They will build the land. They will sow. They will plant the land, and no one will pluck them out.
Wow. Amos 9, it was quoted in the New
Yes.
Testament, in the book of Acts.
Yes, that's right. It's linked to the church as well.
Yeah.
And the church is linked to Israel. You know, here it is. And God had everything so exactly formed. That's the amazing thing of God. And the news will never tell you this, but that's what it was. That's what it was. Yeah.
And we are watching right now, 70 years later.
Yes.
70 years
Yes.
later.
Yes.
70, there's something very
Yeah.
biblical about that number.
Yes, and I know we'll talk about it another time, but 70 nations gathered to go about Jerusalem, and 70 is
Yeah.
always there. And it's also going to be, at least on the Gregorian calendar, it'll be 50 years soon from 67, from Jerusalem, you know. So
We'll speak about Israel for a moment because, in my opinion, at a certain point in the 20th century, the world's attention was shifted to the nation Israel. It was a miracle.
Yes.
After World War II,
Yes.
the thing that happened was something that
Yes.
couldn't happen.
Yes.
But God showed favor to the Jews.
Yes.
And since then, the students of Bible prophecy have been watching Israel
Oh, yeah.
every day.
Oh yeah.
And I
Oh,
know
yeah.
you do too.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, it's the centerpiece of God's plan. It's the centerpiece of prophecy. It always has been, always will be.
Yeah.
Why are the nations focusing on this little speck size of New Jersey? You know, why?
Yeah.
It makes no sense. It makes only sense because of God. That's it. No other thing. Why? You go there. No, you go to Jerusalem. It's a bunch of rocks. But it's the most fought-over place in the history of the world.
It is.
There's something about that. Yeah. There are several mysteries about that, by the way, in the Book of Mysteries, too.
The Book of Mysteries. Jonathan mentioned a minute ago, you could call this a daily devotional because it has 360.
You can do it. It's also that.
Yeah, you could.
Yeah.
And each of these mysteries challenges your imagination. And this is a good thing because when you think of God, you need to stretch your mind a little bit.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
He's way beyond everyday living.
Yeah, very first one you probably remember, Gary, is really to open your mind in it, and that is that it's the mystery of the jar of infinity. Okay,
Go ahead.
It's not so much.
You've got my attention.
No, well, I didn't want to get your attention, but just to say that the question that the teacher asked the disciple at the beginning, he says, "Can that which is little contain that which is big?" And he says, "Well, of course not, but you can. There's a mystery. How can we contain the fullness of God? We're finite. He's infinite. There's a way." And that's the opening of the Book of Mysteries, to open up to all that God has. There's no end to God.
Well, see, already you got my curiosity.
Do you know, Gary, the very first, and this is not as it was planned, but you know this, of course. The very first word in the very first name in the Bible, Elohim, and even that, the name of God means God.
Yeah.
That has a mystery right in there. Why is it Elohim? Elohim doesn't technically mean God. It means God's, but it's only one God.
Yeah.
It's God. But when the Hebrew does that, it's telling you that the reality behind that word is so big, is so gigantic, that that word cannot contain it, cannot contain the infinite. So what it's saying is that whatever you think of God is, he's more, he's bigger. Whatever you've known for theology, it doesn't matter how old you are, we don't know the half of God.
So it might be the Hebrew way of saying something infinite.
Yes, infinite, yeah, really, infinite and gigantic. It's saying it breaks the boundaries. And we also have mysteries of the rabbis in here. I could just, yeah.
Go.
Okay.
That would be good.
Let me
I don't want you to give the whole book away.
No.
But
If we were here for months, we could not give that book away because it's too much. There's so much. But there's one of the things is there are also streams of mysteries where you're reading one and then you'll read another one that is another puzzle piece, and at the end it all comes together. Well, there are streams of the hidden writings of the rabbis. Do you know, and most people don't, that the rabbis actually gave a time by which the Messiah of Israel had to come to Israel. They gave the time. And when was it? And they based it on, the mystery is called, in the book is called the scepter of Judah. When the blessing of Judah is given in Genesis, it says the scepter shall not depart from Judah until Shiloh comes. And they took it, this is Messiah. So they said this, that Messiah must come before we lose our power, before we lose the power over life and death. So here's what happened. They said, we lost that power in this year. And it was when the Romans took away from Judah the power over life and death, capital, that. So they took it out. And so the rabbi said Messiah had to come by that time. Mm-hmm. Well, when was the time? They date it. They said it was just about the year 30 AD. 30 AD.
Wow.
Messiah, Jesus, the rabbis. I mean, if the rabbis are saying this, they don't believe in Jesus, and they're saying, and they don't even realize that, how true is Messiah that he has come? How true.
Point. But we're on the verge of something like that. I think that these mysteries will be open at a certain point.
Yes, yeah. Daniel says there are things that are being held until the end, and I believe that's the case. I believe there are things that are to be revealed at the end, and I believe there's a reason why, Israel and the church have been separated for 2,000 years, but each has a part of the mystery. But when they start coming together, that's when certain things can come out. I believe we're in that time. The
Book of Mysteries, and by the way, we're offering this on our online bookstore, prophecywatchers.com. Just click on the bookstore, scroll down to Jonathan Cahn, and you'll find the Book of Mysteries, and we're offering that. We are going to take a moment, and I want you to explain what this is, because right here I have 4 beautifully arranged cases of DVDs, 12 DVDs about the mysteries. And in fact, let me just take volume 4 here. The End Time Revelation Mysteries, the Yud He Vav He, the I Am Mysteries. And by the way, I've watched not all of these, but many of them, and they're extremely well produced. I love what you've done. You are a very gifted teacher. You get people's attention, and you're a preacher, but the highest compliment I can pay to you is that you're a teacher.
Well, I think
because when people finish hearing what you have to say, they have learned something.
Yeah, there's always more. Those will go deepest into some of these mysteries they have. I just saw it, by the way, here. There's the Yoma mystery, the mystery of the leper king, the secret of the Sanhedrin, the Masada mystery, really amazing thing that's hidden in Masada, the Hanukkah end time mystery, which is really the most detailed blueprint of the end times. There's even things about the mystery of Messiah's birth, of when it was, and there's so much. So those are the deep. You want to get deep into some of those things that are introduced to the Book of Mysteries. That'll be the deep thing there.
And these are made for showing to a group.
You can do it yourself. You can do it for yourself. You can do it for a Bible study, a church. Absolutely.
Oh yeah, I was watching them by myself, and I was thinking there should be 30 other people in this room right now because they need to hear about this.
Cool.
So again, go to the online bookstore, prophecywatchers.com, and scroll down to Jonathan Cahn, and you'll find the Book of Mysteries, and you'll also find a package that includes all of these DVDs, further explanations and demonstrations of the mysteries, and the book as well. And by the way, not only will you get the book, but you'll get a copy of the Prophecy Watcher. So we have a package whereby you can get the DVDs, the book of mysteries, and a copy of our magazine. And by the way, I'm thinking of something. You're going to be speaking at our prophecy conference, the Blessed Hope Prophecy Forum, October 13th through 15th this year. And you mentioned to me earlier, that's a long time. A lot could happen between now and then.
Yeah.
I asked Jonathan, what are you going to be speaking on? He says, who knows?
Well, especially now, so much is happening.
Yeah.
So who knows? I mean, I said, let's see what happens next week, and then let's go from there. So much is happening. Yeah. And I'll just a note, Gary, with that people, my biggest blessing in that is I was actually doing a book signing, and the person next to me says, I got to tell you, I've been witnessing to my friend for years, I gave him a gift, I gave him the Book of Mysteries, and they came to the Lord. So people are coming to the Lord through the Book of Mysteries. So it's great to give to people, and at the end there's actually a call to salvation because the disciple, the wanderer, gets saved. So it's great to give to people as a gift, whether they're saved or not saved. That's my biggest thing. I mean, to take it for yourself, it can change your life if you apply it, but bless other people. That's the biggest joy for me.
So what brings people to Christ, in your opinion? And we've all witnessed. Sometimes people receive Christ, sometimes they don't. Sometimes their curiosity is slightly aroused, and you think, well, maybe next week or next month they will. But when you confront someone with something mysterious that pulls them along, something they haven't thought about before.
That's correct.
That may be
that is correct
why
because
this book works that way.
Because they don't feel like they're being hit over the head, or you're being accusing them. Like, wait a minute, have you ever heard about the mystery of the what? What do you mean? What is that? What do you mean there's something behind it? And that's how people who are not saved, it doesn't matter. There's no barrier there because they're coming in. That's exactly right. Yeah.
Mysteries. I think God has given you a way of looking at Scripture that is extremely compelling. We have about a minute left.
Okay.
Modern Israel is a mystery to many people.
Yes.
They can't understand what's going on over there. A lot of people have not been educated about Israel. They think the little upstart nation probably won't last very long. It'll be there for just a little while and it'll be gone. Israel itself is a mystery.
Right? Yes. I mean, it begins, the mystery of Israel, even the name begins with a divine wrestling match with a man, which is really what Israel is. That's another mystery right there. What is Israel? Well, it comes from that. It's the name of a people. It means Jewish people, who will wrestle with a man who turns out to be God in the end.
Just like
that.
Wow.
Yeah, they're wrestling, but in the end they win, but they're always wrestling.
And that's hidden in the name Israel.
Right there. It's the first wrestling, which is by the way, in there, there's one called the mystery of the wrestler, the mystery wrestler, but that's it. They wrestle with God. What? Yeah. There's no end.
And the wrestling is going on right now.
Has Israel have they ever not wrestled, Gary?
Yeah.
They're always wrestling with the world, wrestling with this, but in the end they prevail. And we wrestle a lot with the Lord if you're born again, but you prevail.
Jonathan Cahn, author of the Book of Mysteries. We're going to have to talk with you again. Thanks, Jonathan. I do appreciate it.
My blessing.
And I'm Gary Stearman. You keep watching. We are.